you know what's so fascinating? The whole world's like losing their mind right now. That's not true. The whole country is in this place of division. And what's so just real for me is that there's kind of two sides. There are those who are saying, those foolish football players, who do they think they are? And then there's a whole nother side of people who are saying, I can't believe it. Can we link arms tighter, stronger, bigger, better? Here's the reality. It is easy to argue with people's opinions, but you cannot argue with my experience, period. And as I think about being a black woman in this country, and I really think about what it's been like for me to do business, whether I have a son or not, whether I understand all of the pieces that go along or not, it doesn't change the fact that there is no way, shape, form, figure, in any way, capacity, form that I'm going to support anything that sits in the center of division. There is no way that I'm going to support anything that's remotely related to acknowledging, being okay with, fostering, fueling racism. You know, one of the toughest things for me, like every single day, that's not true. One of the toughest things for my family every single day is building ourselves or building our families in the midst of being black women and black men. And when I say black men, I had an interesting conversation with a friend of mine, actually a client. And this morning he was commenting on the challenges that he sees with these football players who are, you know, kneeling down. And for him, he just thought it was ridiculous and really absurd, and it doesn't make any sense. And he's like, it's stupid. It's absolutely stupid for them to do it. And more importantly, it's going to prove and support and give nothing. And you know, as I sat inside of that, I thought to myself, you know, I don't have a son. I don't have to raise a son. Let me rephrase that. I don't have to raise a son in today's world. I don't have to raise a son. At least right now, God hasn't given me a son. So far, I have 3 girls. But make no mistake about it. There is not a day that goes by that I don't feel a tiny bit of an ounce of fear when my husband walks out the door. You know, when we moved to the state of North Carolina, from Florida, one of the most just kind of interesting experiences for me. Hey, how you doing, Eugenia? So one of the most interesting kind of components for me was moving to the state of North Carolina from South Florida. And when we moved to this state, I had an objective. I was going to build a bigger business than I had ever built before. I built multiple 6-figure businesses in Florida, and I just had this idea and a dream and like some chutzpah, if you will. And I said, okay, I'm going for this thing. And I find myself in North Carolina, and it was the first time in my life. I mean, mind you, I have children already. It was the first time in my life where I really understood what it meant to be a black woman. You know, in the course of maybe like, I don't know, like 3 or 4 years, my husband had walked through this journey where it didn't matter how much money we had, it didn't matter what neighborhood we lived in, it didn't really matter what the pieces or elements to our lives were. When he left the door, every single day he was seen as a black man. And I don't think I really understood what that meant because him and I were raised totally differently. But it was after the 5th time of him being pulled over, and there really was no justification. There was no reason. We didn't have a broken taillight. Like, we weren't speeding. Like, we didn't, you know, like, we didn't run through a red. Like, nothing had happened and I found myself in a place where I'm like, why are you pulling us over? You know, my husband told me once, and maybe call this ignorance, or call this Tiffany didn't know, or call this I didn't really understand, because obviously I'm not a black man. But having my own kind of self-journey as a woman, I thought to myself, well, here's the thing. I either have to make a decision that I'm going to be part of the solution or part of the problem. Like, there is no such thing as the middle ground, especially in business. Like, I know how easy it is for us to kind of say, oh, well, I'm going to stay out of this, and I don't want to ruffle feathers, and I really want everybody to feel comfortable. But it's like, you know what? You know, the reason why I made a decision to speak about whatever it is that I believe in is because it's like we almost all have a responsibility to use whatever small platform we have to talk about whatever is important to us. Like, in order to fight for whatever our values and our beliefs and wherever our values and our beliefs and our dreams lie inside of. And the absolute hardcore, like, factual truth of that is that it makes me feel horrible thinking and knowing about the people in my family and the people in my community and the people that I absolutely adore and care about who go to bed at night because they're facing something that has to do with racism. You know, a friend of mine this morning said to me, basically, you know, he went out of his way to tell me he thinks I'm crazy and that, you know, the majority of this country does not operate in racism, that they're far removed from racism, but the actual kind of, the reality is that unless you experience racism on a daily or weekly basis, it just floats right by you. Like there's not a week that goes by that I don't have some kind of black and white experience with racism that makes me, I think at first it makes me sad. I think second, it makes me annoyed. I think third, I'm probably frustrated. I don't know that I get to the point of pissed off, but I'm definitely disappointed. There is not a time when I walk into a store after my husband and I may have like left my purse in the car or I left my cell phone and I go back and he walks into the store in front of me and I can clearly watch a security guard or a police officer leave their post, and of all 5 people who have also walked in the store, that they have made the decision to go and follow my husband down aisle 5, 6, 7, and 8. There is not a time that I don't leave my home and I will be in a restaurant and I may have gone up to use the bathroom and I don't watch a woman who sees my husband walking by and she clutches her purse. It's like, you may try to tell me that there is no racism and that it is compartmentalized, but from a person who floats from city to city, state to state, big city to little city, red state to blue state, I'm gonna tell you, the kind of racism I've walked through over the last 12 months of my life, I haven't experienced it that raw, that open, and that flexible, I don't think ever. And here's the key. You can't stay quiet about it. And if you can't understand why people are kneeling today and why there are people who are, if you can't understand why people are kneeling and you can't understand why they're taking a stand, it's not really because they have an objective to be disrespectful to the flag. It actually has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with the fact that last night they went to bed, or they knew someone who went to bed, or they live in a community where people went to bed where they didn't feel protected. They didn't feel safe. They didn't feel accepted. They didn't feel wanted. They didn't feel included. They didn't feel equal. And I'm just not sure. Like, truthfully, I almost feel like regardless of what the law is, if you truly loved and cared about me, I would hope that you would fight for me too. It's just that simple. Like, if you truly cared about me, like if we either grew up together or we were neighbors at some time or our kids went to the same school, or maybe, I don't know, we had Christmas together one year, or you've been to my home for Thanksgiving, or, you know, like we've gone on vacation together, like it would be really tough for me to understand that we could share some type of intimacy, some type of friendship, some type of bond, some type of care for one another, and you've cared for either of my children, Jada, Maya, or Kayla, or you watched them being born, or you came to our baby shower. Like, it would be tough. Or if you were part of me and Albert getting together, like, I would really struggle to understand that you could watch, see, listen, and hear the same thing, and then me tell you, because at this point, I'm making it clear, it's happening to me. It's happening to my family. It's happening to the people that I care about. I would struggle to understand that now that I tell you, or I've told you, that you still wouldn't say something, that you still wouldn't speak against it, that you would still make a decision to say, to justify it. It would be really, really tough, because at that point, in my personal opinion, you can't really care about me that much. You can't really care about me that much and know that I'm suffering, or know that I am sad, or know that I am not being treated equal, or knowing that people are taking advantage of me, or knowing that I'm being disrespected, or anyone that I care about, especially my girls or my husband, and then you'd make an attempt to justify it. I just can't sit with that. I don't think I can, because then I'd have to question, like, forget everything else. Like, do you really just care about me or not? You know what I mean? It's like, do you care about me or not? Like, that's, I think, the question at the end of the day. So if you don't get it, like, if you don't understand why, how someone feels like they need to take a knee, then it's probably time that you need to start having new conversations. It's probably time that you take a little bit of time to dig a little bit, just a little bit deeper, because there's such a truth out there. And even though you want to argue with people's opinions, you really can't argue with their experiences, and you can't really justify their experiences, and you can't really try to shift my experience. You can't tell me that you can't tell me that an experience didn't happen. You may try to tell me, oh, well, Tiffany, I think it happened in this way, or I think this is what it looked like, or I think this is maybe how it should have been, or maybe this is what he meant. But I'm going to tell you, the very first time that I sat at a table, and as you know, I've built 6- and 7-figure businesses, and a friend of mine this morning told me that according to standards, I actually should not have been as successful as I was if all this information is true. That was the actual statement this morning. If literally, I think that's the best part of today. If all of it is true, then there's no way I could have been as successful and have built a 7-figure business. Here's the fact. The first time you sit in front of someone and they say to you, I'm not doing business with you because you're a black woman, that's something. But the second, third, and fourth time that you sit in front of someone and they openly tell you, I really don't think you have anything that we need because you're a black woman, or because you come from that side, or because ... It's really hard to argue with that. Like, there's really nothing more you can say, because that's my real life world experience. And truthfully, it's independent of the fact that I own a business. It's independent of the fact that I live in Los Angeles. Let me tell you, and if you're a part of our Onwards to Freedom community, just know I can't shut up. I won't. There's no way. As small as my platform may be, I have a responsibility, and so do you. Because there's no way that I would knowingly let someone either make fun of you, take advantage of you, not accept you, or push you aside, and I would hope that you wouldn't do the same, that you would treat me the same. It's really just that simple. So, I think I end this moment saying there's only two ways. There's only two parts to this. You ready? Stay with me. You're either part of the problem or you're part of the solution. That's it. But here's the thing. You totally have to decide. And by saying nothing, you already did.